Welcome back to another Reading and Correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 64 of The Technician's Fight. And of course, the hunter in the lead consulted her tablet, then adjusted one of the sensor devices on her armor before speaking to her beta. There's a sensor field ahead. Beta Zorfiel reported to Gralgiran. From the strength, we're close to the Earther-controlled part of the station, but we can't proceed without serious risk of them picking us up. Recommendation. He wasn't surprised. They'd traveled in halls with full power for long enough. They had to be getting close, and sensors were the basics of securing the area. An area. If we can find a board with a connection to theirs, my hacker might be able to get in and give us a way to move. Any idea where we find one? She consulted her tablet, typed. She looked at one of her hunters and read. Based on the schematic on record, from when the station was active, there should be a maintenance bay, one section spin ward. It's going to depend on the sensor field, on if the sensor field extended to it or not. He nodded. Plan the route and get us moving. Gralgiran wrapped an arm around the Earther's neck before she was aware of him. Come on here. And tightened it until the bones broke. The others had neutralized or subdued their targets before any of them had been able to fight back or send a distress message. There was a laxness that made him think these people didn't have military training. And hadn't had to deal with an incursion for as long as they'd been here. They'd gotten comfortable and no longer expected to be attacked. It gave his hunter the advantage, so long as they didn't fall victim to thinking everyone they'd encounter would be lax. Two were alive and being divested of weapons, tools, and comms. Once they couldn't pose any threats, they were awakened, and Gralgiran gave him the option of making this easy on them. He crouched before the male and female, both looking more angry than worried. I am Gralgiran Selaravnir. You know what? I am Alpha Gralgiran Selaravnir, he said in Earther. Right, he says, okay, never mind. He says it there. Alpha of this hunt, you are my prisoners. I require information that you will provide me. Your only options are how painful the process will be. Who is your Alpha? How many forces protect your command center? What form of automated defenses does it have? The female spat at him. We don't talk to cats, the male said. You will, he replied, and this is your only chance to do so without pain. I'm not scared of you, the female said. He stood. Zorfiel, they are yours. The pair was dragged to a room by her pack, and the door closed. The door opened, and she exited, her pack following. Two of them had streaks of blood on their armor. The alpha of their pack, the alpha is a male called William MacArthur. They don't know how many hunters are protecting the command center, but were part of a group of 120 who arrived 6 years ago. There are no automated defense that they know of. She projected a schematic of the station, zoomed in an area. As best as we worked out from what they said, the command center is here. She highlighted a zone one level above them. The size and the fact it had a view of the planet made Gralgiran think it was a lounge. It's on this side, away from the access. She highlighted the area between that and the windows. That is their medical area. With a command center? Another beta asked, how are they fitting everything there? Earthers, remember? She said. They can pack 100 in one of our shuttles. I expect they can fit a city in a leisure room. Gralgiran chuckled. As much as the Earther enjoyed tight spaces, even their smallest city's population wouldn't fit there. What do they need such a medical area for? It's too large even for one of ours in the middle of a battle. Who knows how Earthers think, she replied. Could that be where they experimented on with those machines? It would give a purpose to the crews of the ship they stole. Uh, would give a reason to keep the crews of the ship they stole, if he believed what the male who had arranged the trap for Jer had claimed, that these were who had the machines he planned to use on him stolen from. He didn't want to entertain what those experiments entailed. He also couldn't make that his priority, as much as he hated that more might be experimented on while they made their way to the command center. The hunt was about bringing no, this hunt was about bringing this incursion in his territory to an end. She highlighted the mezzanine. They turned the privacy room there into cells. She raised the schematic a level and have more cells there. They don't know how many are held, but claim they are so full they needed 3 guards to make the last batch fit in. How full would the Earthers pack them? What trauma would that cause? Again, he hated that he couldn't do. Although, did they give you a sense of when this last batch arrived? No, Alpha. But they are Kelsirians and are in the privacy rooms. Plural. In one. No, yeah, no, it's a ship. They'd be impacted more than one. They made sure we knew they had cats in a box. It seemed to be funny to them. They might not be the Halan, and even if they were, they might not be the Halanos' Halan. But Ravnir had made his children to fight for their survival. Even civilians had claws and fangs and knew how to use them. Not to say of whoever else was being held. He could only think of the Saladin as a species who wouldn't be useful in a fight. Everyone else, even the most analytical of Seth, would see value in fighting for their freedom. What of our prisoners? He asked, nodding to the door. They aren't prisoners anymore, she replied. He nodded. Have any of the other packs made contact through the power system? Beta Jamari Slorek Vromarin confirmed they understood the hunt, the Beta said. No indication Beta Huamal Orami Ratsel Arali and her pack with him and the packs with him made it to the station. 2 packs who were heading for the control center with intent of assaulting. How likely would this way of communicating let me change one of the packs' order? The Beta called over a hunter, and Gralgiran asked him the question. Short of stopping and waiting for a confirmation of response, there's no way to be certain they check the power network since the message we left is on a loop. Then it was on them to free the prisoners and increase their numbers. Beta, we need a trail to the cells. To those cells. The hunt is being altered to free them and bring those willing into the fight. I will get you one, Alpha. Gralgiran paced the room, his impatience growing. As much as he knew that waiting was an integral part of a hunt, that he had to. He wanted to move, sink his claws and fangs in the enemy, work to ensure his people were safe, instead of waiting until... I'm in, the hunter on the board exclaimed. Can you hide us from them? Gralgiran demanded. Too early to say, Alpha, she replied. What is their information security like? The male on her side asked. Like what I dealt with on the other Earther station. She read, a lot like that. Looks like the Earthers took their liking of standardization to their code as well. Is it exactly the same as Einstein's station? Gralgiran asked. That would smell of their science meddling. Not identical, but a lot of similarities. It feels like someone took that and sliced it into pieces, then rearranged what worked, added the code needed to make sure it didn't fall apart. But it gives me a smell to follow as I move through the code. It's better than starting in a bog. He stepped away before he asked for time frames, demanded she hurry. Our beta knew what she was able to do and would be better at ensuring she stayed on the hunt. Alpha, the beta said, looking concerned. You should sit with us and relax. He considered the male and others who had taken to a corner to sit together. Sex wouldn't happen unless he declared they were off the hunt for a full shift, and but they snuggled and nuzzled and relaxed. He shook his head. He wanted to remain alert for the instant the hunt returned. Maybe if he was on short-name basis with one of them, but it was why he made sure Burrell wasn't on his packs during hunt. She'd see to it he relaxed even when he didn't feel like it, especially if he didn't feel like it. So he paced and waited. These are what we need, the hunter said, putting a disc on the table half the size of her palm on the table. That's how their sensors identify who is allied and who isn't. I've sent a pack to retrieve more from the Earthers we encountered on the way here. Would that be enough for every hunter? How many do we have? 4 from the last 2 encounters. I had this from what we took off the hunters we questioned. Okay, good. It was mentioned. The others were from the first two to return, the beta said. Not even enough for 1 pack, and the fight before that had been a while. Even hurrying, the hunters wouldn't be back soon. What can we do to have 1 pack travel within the sensors? Can one of these hide 2 of us? The hunter shook her head. The sensors are programmed to flag any life form that isn't associated with such a tag, and send that to the command center. I expect their alpha will assign a pack to investigate. It would let us surprise them, a beta offered, and let us gain more. But that would confirm there are unknowns on the station, Gralgiran said, which would lead to a general alarm we aren't equipped to deal with. This hunt needs to remain stealth until the prisoners have been released and given us the advantage. Although, without a way to let the other packs know of the alteration, the beta said, there's no telling when they'll start their assault. He nodded, which is why no, Beta Zarfiel said. He tilted an ear in amusement and annoyance. You are our Alpha. You can't go alone within enemy territory. I am the Alpha, Beta. Only one person gets to tell me what I am allowed to do, and you know I won't sit here. I don't see you sitting. He narrowed his eyes. Sometimes he dislikes special ops eccentric personalities. No one but my Alpha or the gods will keep me from this. Alpha, there is the possibility this is a trap. It's best to send others to free the prisoners. If the Halanos of Tal is among them, I'm the only one he will respond to. Gralgiran countered, promising himself to have a private talk with the beta once the hunt was done. She was pushing the leeway special ops usually enjoyed. There are 3 more of these tags. Assign them to the hunters who will see to my safety. But if one of them tries to get in my way, expect to have to collect their unconscious body. Is that clear? Very, Alpha. And don't take too long to select them, or I will head to the cells on my own. The hunters signaled them back, and Gralgiran, along with the other 2, tested the doors until one opened and they entered, leaving it cracked to listen to the approaching Earthers. The tags did their job. They'd made it to the mezzanine level above the command center without an alarm sounding, and with their keen hearing, had managed to avoid encountering Earthers. This group passed the corridor their room was in, and he waited until he no longer heard their steps before motioning to the hunter to scout. The signal confirmed the way was clear, and they hurried. While the private room's main access was from the leisure area, there was also an entrance from this corridor for those who wanted to use one of the rooms or reach the leisure area. I don't know. Yeah. For those who wanted to use, for those who wanted, yeah, without without traveling to the lifts and then back there. He'd thought the area was too large to be a leisure room, but then remembered this had been an industrial station. Most of the space would be used to process the material they extracted, leaving only a few places for the people living on it. After 2 detours to avoid Earthers, their target was within sight. He warned them to be ready for a fight with ear code. Stealth wouldn't be possible after this, so they needed to be quick. The lock was already blue, which made Gralgiran cautious. He wouldn't allow a door to a cell block to be unlocked, because that's not the cell direct. Anyway, he nodded, and the hunter opened it, rushing in. He followed, then helped him take down the Earther, while the other two tackled the other guard. They waited, listening. The fight had been quieter than he'd expected, but not silent. The height and mezzanine itself meant what had taken place couldn't be seen through the corridor's windows. When no one came, he sent a hunter to scout the length of the corridor. Deserted, the hunter said in ear code, all doors locked. He nodded. About, where are you? There you are. Doors locked. He nodded and searched for the dead Earthers. The locks were Kelsirians, so they'd have to pull the... He took the old card from the pocket. The hunter found one on the other. He went to the first door, then hesitated. If these were his prisoners, and he didn't want them rescued, he'd make it as difficult as he could on those trying. He wouldn't start at the end, but in the center. He didn't reach the center. Someone knocked on the door from the other side. There had been a furtive sense to the sound. Someone hitting their head against it, trying to press in near and listen through, possibly. He was 3 doors from the center, but that had been confirmation. This one was occupied. He motioned the Earthers to the others and swiped the card. The door opened as the light turned blue, and he was assaulted by Kelsirians and the smell of sex. The pair shoved him against the wall, and then he pushed one away and grabbed the other by the neck, only then registering the male and female were naked. "Cease," he hissed. "I am not the enemy." "If it isn't the little warrior's heart," a male said. The Hananos of Tal leaned against the doorway, naked and grinning. "When I was told to expect a visit from someone I knew, I didn't even consider you." The smell of sex was thick as Gralgiran approached the door. Behind it, Kelsirians were pressed too close against each other. The room shouldn't hold even a tenth of those numbers. "If we were going to be that close," the Hananos said, grinning, "we might as well have fun." He looked at the other hunters. "As legendary as your prowesses are, tell me it's not just the 4 of you rescuing us?" "It isn't, Hananos of Tal. Packs are making their way here, but this is less a rescue and more an opportunity for you and yours to make the Earthers who forced this on you pay. Your nephew tells me the Tal are fierce fighters, something about collecting hunter armor as trophies." The male grinned. "Well, most of us never go looking for hunters to fight, but you do have a bad habit of showing up when least wanted. Present circumstances accepted. And I can promise you, mine are more than ready to inflict revenge on those who forced us into this room." Alpha, a hunter whispered. You need to see this. The door was open to a room containing 8 Earthers, currently pressing themselves against the far wall, looking as if they faced their worst nightmare. He knew that expression. He'd seen it too often in the days after he'd rescued Jer from his kidnappers and torturers. What is wrong with them? The Halanos asked. Their mind have been messed with, he replied, barely controlling the snarl. The only good thing to his mind was that he didn't recognize any of them. There was still a chance the people behind Spreading Branch could be rescued. And this concludes chapter 64 of The Technician's Fight. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. And if you are looking to listen to these live, that is every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.